had thoroughly enjoyed using my maps and was ready to set out again to chart the biggest one I had attempted so far. For me, that was my 4th map, which the magical parchment had actually designated as the 9th. I didn't hang around and leapt from my plateau into the waters below. Having done this before, I knew it was safe, but it didn't stop my stomach lurching into my chest. This time I had jumped, I hadn't told Two-Bone to stay, which was something I was regretting now, as I couldn't find him anywhere. I even stopped off at the uneasy island to see if Two-Bone would swim up to me when I got to land. He didn't. As I rowed across the waters covered by the 4th map, I scanned the coast for him, but still no luck. Night descended and I was starting to really worry about him, but in the end, it was Two-Bone who found me when I was set upon by monsters, and he bounded out of the darkness to my aid. I was overjoyed to see Two-Bone safe, and couldn't praise his loyalty enough. Despite carrying the 4th map, it was luck that led me to the Grumpy Village, as I'd been running blindly over the rocks and slopes. I knew that Two-Bone usually had no problem wandering around outside when I sought shelter, but tonight I didn't want him to be alone. I had to shut the door of the house whilst I waited for him to get bored, as a zombie was trying to get in. To my alarm, the zombie succeeded in bashing down my door. Fortunately, it was alone, and I repaired the damage easily enough. Even though it was me who had built this house for the Grumpy Village, I wouldn't put it past them to grumble had I not fixed it up. With Two-Bone finally inside, apparently not realising I'd been waiting for him, I rested easy and hoped that the night's entanglement had gone unnoticed by the locals. But even if it hadn't, it was good to learn that zombies could do that. When the sun rose, I found the square empty and spent a bit of time surveying the village's golem, which was in a dire state. I fetched some of the iron I'd previously collected for the Grumpy Village from their smithy, and when I opened their chest, remembered that they were in possession of 2 diamonds. I couldn't help but fantasise about the possibility of building my very own enchanting table with the recipe Nellie had shown me and the obsidian I'd found in the chest on Uneasy Island. It seems I wasn't the only one, as Nellie was so excited she pushed me in the back to encourage me to take them. But we weren't thieves. However, I didn't know how I could approach a way to trade for the diamonds, as I had very little I could offer them. For now, I hoped that by fixing up the golem and trading some less valuable goods with the locals, I would at least show that my good intentions were by no means exhausted. And in truth, they really weren't, as I handed over a large amount of my coal to the armoursmith, just to afford an iron axe from her cousin the weaponsmith. I didn't really need it, but couldn't deny that it felt nice to have the upgraded tool in my arsenal, and I popped my old stone axe in the guest house before heading off. Whilst I was here, I had noticed both the armoursmith and the weaponsmith admire my new golden armour when they thought I wasn't looking, and smiled to myself. My nose was back in the 4th map, and I decided the best way to approach colouring it in was to head west, south, east and then north. That was the plan anyway, but I once again found that my curious side was getting me distracted. I saw that the rocky slope south of the gravelly cliff had a distinctive white formation in the shape of a horseshoe. As I approached the white rock, I noticed a little cat. It took me a moment to remember, but I couldn't mistake those bright eyes and realised I had seen them here before when I had been lost months ago. They ran away when I tried to say hello, and it wasn't until after I had given up that I wondered if it may have been Two-Bone who had scared them away. At least I had learned that the white formation was made of calcite. I held my own all night in the nearby area, and during my wandering picked up a good number of emeralds I'd spotted on the rocks along the way. During the night, I had searched for spiders as I wanted their string. It was odd to become the hunter after feeling like the hunted for so long. I used the string to make a fishing rod, which I planned to use to catch some fish for the cat I'd found on Horsepaw Prominence, the name I'd dubbed the bizarrely well-populated rocky formation. That took me on a detour back to the gravelly cliff, where I spent a beautiful morning fishing with Two-Bone, although the fish itself didn't seem to his taste. I was getting the hang of fishing, but somehow accidentally snagged what looked like a name tag from the deep water. During my time spent at the gravelly cliff, I dug out a crude boathouse and fitted it with oak wood that I had taken with me just in case I needed to make an emergency hidey hole. If my previous trips were anything to go by, it would get a lot of use, and for now it was also a good place to rest and store excess things from my jangling pockets. When I set off from my new base, I told Two-Bone to stay behind lest he spook the skittish creature I was searching for. It wasn't long before I found a cat, but not the one I'd seen before. Although still timid, this grey cat purred as it approached me, and despite trotting off after its first taste of fish, began following me when it filled its belly with a feast of salmon and cod. In the chase, the playful cat toyed with me, dancing and darting around my feet to see if I could catch them. Whilst creeping towards the grey shorthair, I spotted the elusive Persian cat. With no more fish, I went back to the gravelly cliff, where I introduced Two-Bone to the grey shorthair. Understandably tentative at first of the lean wolf, I was pleasantly surprised when the cat leapt onto the bed to inspect Two-Bone, and he calmly allowed her to, in a display of stunning restraint. After a night of snuggling on the cramped bed, the three of us spent the morning playing around the rock pools of the gravelly cliff. As I fished, the grey shorthair was learning about Two-Bone's more boisterous side and wasn't too perturbed when the wolf would occasionally catch her and buffet her away. With another handful of fish, I left the two fast friends in the new boathouse and once again made the short walk to Horsepaw Prominence. I had originally wanted to give the Persian cat fish because I thought that they were alone up there. And although I now thought that there must be other cats around, for all I really knew, I had adopted their only friend, leaving them truly alone. This time, catching up to the animal was slow and frustrating, as they couldn't decide if they wanted to give me the time of day. I even considered utilising the merchant's lead for the first time before calming myself down, remembering the reason he'd given it to me. It may have been that the cat was getting just as wet and uncomfortable as I was in the rain, because eventually they allowed me to slowly approach to feed them. The Persian cautiously followed me back to the boathouse cave, even across the short stretch of water. Two-Bone and the grey shorthair were waiting patiently inside, but it was almost as difficult to coax the wary Persian into the bedroom as it was to lure it here, and in the end I provided the encouragement it needed and pushed him over the threshold, closing the door behind me. Two-Bone's restraint had all been used up, and he almost knocked the Persian cat off of the bed as he said hello. The cat's returned greeting consisted of a bop on the wolf's nose, but it was unclear if Two-Bone got the message, as his clumsy snout continued to sniff. But the cat seemed happy to see its friend, and couldn't deny the safety, provision, and warmth of the room it was staying in. I had indulged my conscience and my inquisitiveness in taming the pair of felines. At least on this occasion, curiosity had not killed the cat, only the timely completion of the fourth map. I had only explored around half of it since heading off, which included all the areas that were already painted there. I still enjoyed looking at it half finished and reviewed the various mountains in the area. There was the plateau where my home was, Copperwater Mouth, the Gravelly Cliff, Horsepaw Prominence, Welcome Peak and the attached ridge of mountains, and a strange bowl-shaped mountain that bordered the jungle. As I pored over the fourth map, the grey shorthair nuzzled me, whilst the Persian attempted to bat away the also inquisitive Two-Bone. Our gang of four was an odd coupling, which made me appreciate our new bonds ever more so. I tucked the map away before bed, and in my pocket felt the name tag I'd fished up. I couldn't seem to attach it to any of my furry friends, but either way, supposed the two cats were going to need some names. So, as some of you know, I'm running a competition at the moment where the winner will have something in Fool's World named after them. I got a bit too excited when my wife suggested this to me whilst we were away, and I dived straight in without ever mentioning it on YouTube properly. So, to make sure that no one misses out, and to stop me harassing anyone in the comments again, we're going to do this now. So, for the last time, I'm going to extend the deadline until next Saturday, where I'll announce on Sunday the 10th by spinning a wheel. And to be fair to the early birds who have already entered, your previous entries will be counted, and you can get another spot on the wheel if you sign up again. I'll include the full rules in the video description if you're interested. I also just wanted to say to the person on Instagram who commented about going from being the hunted to the hunter, that was a great line, and I found myself accidentally using that this episode, so yeah, thank you. Anyway, thank you so much for watching, and I hope you all enjoyed.